Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into an app that has, let's be honest, completely rewired our digital lives, TikTok.
You know that feeling, right? You're scrolling, and it feels like TikTok just gets you. It knows your mood, it knows your weirdly specific interests, almost like it's reading your mind. Well, if you've ever felt that, you're not going crazy. According to our source material, that feeling is 100% by design.
So, to really wrap our heads around how this works, we're going to borrow a really powerful metaphor from our source, the digital Ouroboros. Just picture that ancient symbol of a serpent eating its own tail. That's TikTok. It's a closed, self-contained universe that is constantly creating and then consuming its own reality. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to look at the mechanics of this whole loop, then figure out what fuels it, check out the real-world consequences, and finally talk about what this all means for you and me.
First up, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're talking about the mechanics of this system, what our source calls the body and the brain of this digital serpent.
So, think about older social media for a second. It was all about mapping your real-world friends online. TikTok? Totally different game. It builds its own world from scratch using this principle called autopoiesis. It literally creates the culture, the content, and even the type of user that then feeds back into the system. It doesn't care who your friends are, it just wants to learn who you are with every single swipe.
And the technical wizardry behind this is a system they call Monolith. Now, while older platforms might update their recommendations, say once a day, Monolith is training itself in real time. It's not just guessing what you'll like, it's learning and changing with every single thing you do on the app, instantly.
So, what does this all mean for you? Well, it means the system is built for breathtaking speed and scary good precision. Its collisionless design makes sure that all your niche interests don't get jumbled up. So whether you're into, restoring 18th century pottery or watching videos about obscure sea shanties, the system knows, and it can serve you exactly that. That's why the feed can feel so personal, almost psychic.
All right, so if that's the brain of our digital serpent, what keeps it going? What's its metabolism? Let's take a look at what this whole thing feeds on.
Well, in a nutshell, it runs on this big idea called surveillance capitalism. Here's the key. Your attention isn't just the product being sold. No, it's the raw fuel. It's the energy source. The platform harvests every little thing you do, every pause, every rewatch, to get better and better at predicting what you'll do next.
And believe me, the tracking goes way deeper than you might think. It is not just about what you do inside the app. If you click a link, its in-app browser can watch every tap. And then there's the TikTok Pixel, which is on millions of other websites. So your browsing, your shopping, all of it can be tied back to your profile, painting this incredibly detailed picture of who you are.
Okay, so what happens when this powerful, self-feeding serpent actually bites its own tail? Let's dive into some of the real-world consequences.
One of the most fascinating things to emerge from this is algo speak. To get around the automated content police, users have basically invented a whole new secret language to talk about sensitive stuff. It's become this constant cat and mouse game between people and the algorithm.
This loop doesn't just create new words. It creates entirely new and kind of bizarre forms of content. Take NPC streaming. You've got creators who act like characters from a video game, just repeating the same robotic actions and catchphrases over and over when viewers send them paid gifts. It is a very strange, very direct way of turning human action into a commodity.
And here is where it gets really wild. Even when you try to resist the system, it just sort of absorbs the resistance. Think about the whole de-influencing trend, people telling you what not to buy. It sounds like a rebellion, right? But what does it actually do? It builds trust with that creator, and that trust is then used to sell you other stuff. The serpent always finds a way to eat its own tail.
This whole system basically puts culture on hyperspeed. A trend can be born in a small community, go massively viral, get picked up by big brands, and then become cringe and die, all in a matter of days. After that, it just becomes what the source calls sludge content, recycled over and over by bots.
Now, this constant, rapid-fire switching of topics and videos is having a real impact on us. There's a term for it that users have come up with, brain rot. And while it sounds a little dramatic, our source material points to the very real concern that our brains are being rewired for constant, short bursts of stimulation, which could make it harder for us to maintain deep focus.
So all of this, it brings us to a really critical point. It brings us to a choice we all have to make about how we interact with this incredibly powerful system. Our source material really lays out two paths forward. On one side, you have the degenerative loop. That's the zombie scrolling, the brain rot, the passive consumption. But on the other side, there's a regenerative spiral. That's where we engage consciously, where we push back against the algorithm, where we decide to keep a human in the driver's seat.
Because ultimately, and this is the big thing to remember, this is so much more than just a social media app. As the source material puts it so well, it's a laboratory, a massive global laboratory where the future of human thinking is being tested out in real time.
So the question this whole explainer leaves us with is really one of control, of agency. In this powerful, self-creating loop, are you the one steering the serpent, or are you just being consumed by it?